looking back over the last couple of years, there have been a number of innovations in the market which have all followed basically the evolution of the green bond market. And I'm talking here about green loans, green ABS, green MBS, green covered bonds, and so on. And in fact, the way in fact these products are operating today is according to the same processes and procedures and also transparency as in fact given by the green bond principles. And that means these are market-led guidances which have become, in other words, voluntary elements which have become over time basically market standards. And I think, in fact, what's extremely important is that what all these products have in common is that the investor knows exactly what's happening with the money that they invest, where the money is going, and what's happening or what projects are being financed with that money. Now, what can exchanges do in that respect in order to promote, in fact, sustainable products moving forward? Well, I just would refer to what we have done in Luxembourg is creating, in fact, the Luxembourg Green Exchange 2 years ago, and I remember very well, it's only 2 years ago, and many people in the market, inclusive in my board, were thinking about that this was a wild idea. Well, when I'm looking back 2 years later, I must say, in fact, we hit probably a very sensitive bottom in the market, because we are proud to say that we are listing today more than 50% of the green bonds issued worldwide and listed on an exchange. Now, what is the lessons, in fact, that you can learn, in fact, from this? And I must say, in fact, our experience is very clearly, in order to move forward, you need to create trust in the market, nothing new for exchanges. And trust is very closely linked to transparency. And that means you need to provide timely information which is reliable, meaningful to investors. In other words, and this is new, issuers are accountable for this reporting. And I think, in fact, that's the key element for investors to choose sustainable financial products rather than conventional ones. Of course, we see, in fact, that markets are evolving quickly. You need to remain dynamic. You need to adapt to market evolutions overall, but you cannot trade off transparency and reliability. That's certainly a lesson that we have learned. Now, also, we need to be daring at one point in time, and we have made the experience by basically using voluntary practices and making them mandatory. That means putting the bar higher, which was a risky undertaking. Well, ultimately, in fact, when I'm looking at what the European Commission does today and all the green, social and sustainability principles that are being issued shows us very clearly that we did the right thing. Now, how to scale up all of this? That's a little bit more difficult because it requires a change of mindset. We still need to, and that's my personal conviction, to reorient the entire investment chain and to move from what we call the short-term profit maximization. We need to move to long-term profit optimization. And in here, in fact, investors play a key role, and Steve had just mentioned some of these aspects. But I think, in fact, if I may take a critical view on investors' behavior overall, and I include institutional investors in here, many of them are still considering sustainability as simply a risk factor, rather than using sustainability as an investment objective. And we have talked early on about the regulatory role. In fact, I think, in fact, regulators can play a role by guiding the market, by asking for more disclosure, because that way, and if we're adding to this educational aspects where exchanges can play a major role, educated markets means, in fact, also that they are capable of making the difference between those who really mean it and those who are just playing along. Now, to conclude, I would say What does it take? I think, in fact, cooperation between exchanges, market practitioners, and I include here very clearly regulators, and multilateral organizations such as the IFC will accelerate the development of more sustainable financial products and also link to more emerging market issuers. And then the last point is transparency is key. Information has to be made easily available to investors, and we have decided to walk the talk. If you go to the website of the Luxembourg Green Exchange, you find all the regulatory and also the voluntary, that means the sustainability reports and elements on our website. Have a look at it, because on top of that, all this information is for free to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.